It's only $29.99? I like Sonic Mania Plus, and it costs a lot less.
But kid, this game looks like it came out in the 90s. Don't you want to play the same generic games as everyone else?
Sonic Mania Plus, more action, more speed.
Welcome back to Retro Rebound. In today's video, we are going back to Sonic Mania, which is one of the highest reviewed Sonic games, one of the most celebrated Sonic games, and during a very low point in franchise history, it was signaled as a turning point. This is why we love Sonic. Sonic Mania represented all of that and more. Now, as you've watched here on Retro Rebound, I've gone through, as I've called it many times, the Sonic Pilgrimage. From Sonic Adventure 1 and on, I've seen the beauty of 3D Sonic, all the different takes, the highs and lows, and I've come to love the franchise. One thing I'm not super experienced in at all, as this video will absolutely showcase, is 2D Sonic, where it all began with the Sega Genesis, the Sega Saturn. I don't know anything about it, and quite frankly, to keep it transparent, 2D Sonic never appealed to me. I'm going to say something I imagine someone said to you in the past. For me, it's when I'm going too fast, I can't see what's coming on the right side of the screen, and I get hit by something. That never ends up being fun to me. But the main reason I wanted to go back to Sonic Mania was to see this highly celebrated Sonic title through, what made it so special, and not only is it a great fit for Retro Rebound, but we also have Sonic Superstars on the way, which is this new 4-player-like Sonic game that looks so cute and fun, and is also an homage to the originals, much like Sonic Mania was. The story behind how Sonic Mania came to be is a fascinating one. We'll share that alongside some of my experiences. But ladies and gentlemen, if you're new here and you're into nostalgic and retrospective content, you're in the right place. Consider subscribing. Let's begin with how this game came to be. For a while, Sonic Mania was used, and kind of still is, as a sticking point to Sega. Ha, you guys still can't make a great Sonic game, but your fans can. So Christian Whitehead was contracted out to do effectively work on an enhanced Genesis port on mobile devices. And during his time working with Sega, he had pitched this game, to which it was approved and then funded. And what's really fascinating is the driving force behind this game is fan games, ROM hacks, the type of stuff that is a heartbeat within the Sonic community. You know, it's funny because as someone who covered a lot of Bethesda Game Studio stuff throughout my growing years on YouTube, I always signaled that they had the best modding community, because without all of the mods that are in Skyrim and Fallout 3 and so on and so forth, these games would just not have the legs that any other game in the industry has. But Sonic has the best fan games, no doubt about it. When you look at PO6, a game that we've covered here on the channel before, it is a work of beauty, in my opinion. Arguably the best feeling, if not the best feeling Sonic game ever made. And it didn't even come from anyone at Sega, wasn't funded by Sega, wasn't touched by Sonic Team. It's a competitive environment out there. So for Sonic Team to lower the ego and see something really cool that speaks to the essence of the franchise and bring them in, I don't think should be used as a sticking point to them to lower what we think of Sonic Team. I know they don't make perfect Sonic games. I know Frontiers, I called the best 7 out of 10 game you can play. I still mean that, but I love that Sega left the ego at the door, saw an opportunity here, funded it, and this game sold over 1 million copies. Well worth it, in my opinion. So I hope they continue to do this type of stuff as time goes on. I know I'm many years late to that kind of conversation, but I really do hope that more companies do this. I've always said that Bethesda Game Studios should take games like Oblivion, go fund that thing, make it a full game. Like, what do you have to lose? These things look incredible, and they're from your own fans. It's a PR win. It's a financial win. Like, I'm just trying to talk business here. Come on now. But anyway, that's the story behind Sonic Mania and how it came to be. So yeah, a lot of fans powered this one well and truly. And so now let's get into what this offers, because you'll see behind me we have Sonic Mania Plus. So this does come with a couple of new playable characters in Mighty the Armadillo, Ray the Flying Squirrel. I know, hilarious names. It has the Encore Mode. We'll talk about all that stuff, but let's get into the core of this game. Probably the biggest surprise for me, because you may or may not know this, but I was in a very ignorant place, and so anything new Sonic related, I kind of scoffed at and would pick it up on a deep, deep sale, play it with my brain shut off, and then move on to the next thing. And so Sonic Forces, I think you can't blame me, fell right into that bin. I picked it up for 10 bucks, played it, beat it, guilty pleasure kind of game. Like, that was pretty mid, but you know what? I just wanted to play a little Sonic because no game really plays like a Sonic game, so I scratched that itch and moved on. Now, what was interesting was to see that Sonic Mania is a setup to Forces. Like, there is an actual setup with Infinite, and I was going, wait, what's happening here? I know they were announced at the same time when I was doing my research, but when I was playing it, this was one of the big surprises to me, was that the stories are connected here. I love how they are connected. It does add a little more value to Sonic Forces in my eyes, but I was like, oh no, this might be like the one drawback for a ton of people. It's connected to Sonic Forces. Otherwise, and I'm sure you can already tell, and if you've played it, you already know, this isn't what you're here for. You're not here for story and character development. It's about the gameplay. So as the art style is already suggested to you, it's a real love letter to the OG Sonic games. It remixes some levels. There are brand new stages of their own. One of my favorite components of this game is the flow of it. So as you start off a level, let's say it's Green Hill Zone or Chemical Plant, you have an Act 1 and an Act 2. And normally there's this results screen and a loading screen, and then you start again. But what I love is how these big levels are interconnected. So they have the same flow of start at one end, go through this huge obstacle course, get to the other end, fight a boss, but then you get your results, and the level starts off right there. There's no breakup in the action. The amount of times I got caught impulsively going to grab my phone, check what's going on real quick, and thinking there's going to be a loading screen, I got back into the habit of like, no, keep the control in your hand. Focus in. Like, I love that type of stuff. To me, we need more of that from our games, and less loading screens, less things breaking up the flow, because we're in such a highly reactive society. I mean, look, I'm completely exposing myself here. Like, I quickly went to grab my phone thinking there'd be a loading screen. Why do I need to do that? I hate that about myself. I feel like because of social media and this demand for some sort of stimulation, I don't mean to get all philosophical here, but we always look for something like that when nothing's really happening. And so I like when games just keep things going, keep things rolling, and Sonic Mania does that really well. What it also does well is makes the characters' movesets feel extremely distinct. Now, as I said here, I haven't played a lot of 2D Sonic, whether it be Sonic Knuckles, 1, 2, 3. I know nothing about these games, and I wanted to keep it that way going in here so I could give you as authentic of a set of impressions here of what was from those old games and what is new here, because many mechanics and zones are borrowed from these games, which some people said there's not enough new stuff here. And when I was doing my research afterwards, I would agree that a lot of it did feel like, hey, let's run this back. Yeah, let's run this back. However, I did appreciate that, for example, Sonic has this drop dash ability that makes him speed-wise the most distinct. Mighty the Armadillo has this downward bomb sort of move that can actually prevent him from being hurt by spikes, which I thought was a really neat trick. Ray the Flying Squirrel is totally broken. This dude can surf through levels, but there's a little trick. You can't just fly straight. You have to press down to kind of pitch up and then kind of go in this flow almost. And once you get that feeling, I mean, Ray is really, really good. You can kind of skip big parts of the stages, but if you've watched a lot of my Sonic content, you'll know this is something I just called out in the Final Horizon update that I loved. I played as Tails, and I broke a part of a stage, and I love that. I love when I can get creative with these characters and the kits I'm provided with them and play the game how it's not to be intended. That's what makes these games special. That's why so many people celebrate Sonic Adventure 2, because of the way you can just drop through levels and cut off a whole minute and a half of time on the stage. It's awesome. And so this game does provide that with characters like Ray, definitely Tails, even though y'all know I'm not a big Tails guy. But Knuckles has this really cool ability where, as you'd expect, he can glide, he can climb walls, which is super useful here. And given that these stages have 1,000,001 paths, it's a real treat to go back again and again and again and see how each character can tackle them differently. I've caught myself multiple times playing this game and going through a stage of Sonic and thinking, oh, that was a breeze. Okay, not too bad there. But then I get to that same point with Knuckles, and since he doesn't get that same speed and he has to glide and whatnot, I have to handle things a little bit differently. I might actually be able to climb a wall and not even get to that part of the level that I'm thinking of. With that said, one of my critiques of Sonic Mania is it's really easy to get spun around in some of the deeper stages. Like Green Hill Zone is good. Chemical Plant, I had a huge skill issue on when the water's rising up and you gotta jump up these particular blocks, and if heaven forbid these two blocks are just overhead and above head and you're not even getting touched by either of them, that's it, doesn't matter, you're dead. And then once you get up there, you have to do very precise platforming right to left, which just feels awkward to me in these types of 2D kind of side-scrolling games. So yeah, I was having a massive skill issue here, but then you get to Casinopolis, which is just Oh my god. Oh man, the music, the vibes, like that new stuff, when it hits so good. You hit a Tetris mini game in these stages. That's the fun spirit of Sonic Mania that makes the game click, where it's the return value, it's the playable characters, and of course with Sonic Mania Plus, what's added in there. It's just the spirit of fun, and it makes me understand, even though I'm not crazy about 2D Sonic, it makes me understand why people have such an adoration for that particular gameplay style. We'll talk more about other modes that are included here, a bit of almost 3D Sonic, and also the Encore mode. But first I want to go through actually a pretty great... Why is this screen black? Come on now. Yeah, there we go. What are you doing going on sleep mode, Series X? Anyway, I want to show you all a really cool complete in-box copy here, because it's not just the game, it's an art book too. Got your attention now? All right, let's check it out. All right, here we have a complete in-box copy of Sonic Mania Plus for the Xbox One. I always like to get Sonic games on the Xbox because I feel like the original Xbox was the spiritual successor to the Sega Dreamcast, so it just fits in my head. But anyway, the back of the box says, the ultimate celebration of past and future, an all-new Sonic adventure with Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, full of unique bosses, rolling 2D landscapes, and pixel-perfect gameplay. I do love the bosses in this game. They're all unique and have their own little gimmicks. Some of them can be really tough, by the way, but I really overall had a good time. 5 playable characters with unique abilities, vibrant new stages and classic zones, and join a friend in co-op or 4-player competitive mode. Now, this is a sleeve, so you'll see we'll slide that off the top here. We have the art book. We'll go through the actual case and game first because it's pretty quick. So, same stuff here on the back. On the inside, of course, Xbox One Cursed Generation disc on the left, and then you have here just a little Sega shop slip with all of the Sonic Mania gear on the right, and Sonic Forces available now, so a little cross promotion there, again, because the story ties in. Find it funny here that it's just a ton of merch loaded up, because Sega's probably like, oh, y'all, you're gonna make the game and we can create merch for it? Great, we're gonna just capitalize and get a lot of money off this. Anyway, the art book here is special because the opening letter here, I mean, first off, you can see just, I think I called it Casinopolis earlier, Studiopolis. You'll see here concepts for how that stage would work, like sending Sonic through the antenna to different parts of the stages. But the opening message is what I was thinking of here. By the Mania, for the Mania. In 2016, a team of passionate developers pitched an idea for a new 2D Sonic game to Sega. Having grown up inspired by Sonic games, the idea of working on an official project seemed like an impossible dream until now. The idea expanded and evolved under the guidance of Sonic Team and grew from a small project into a major initiative involving teams across the globe. The next year, Sonic Mania released to rave reviews and universal praise from critics and fans alike, and became the highest reviewed Sonic game in 15 years, but there was one more thing fans still wanted, a physical edition all their own. Now it's finally time. The art collector's book that you're holding is exclusive to the physical plus version of the game, and it's our special gift to you. It features a look at the creative sketches, early designs, and some never-before-seen concepts that went into Sonic Mania. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed putting it all together from start to finish. This project has been by the Mania for the Mania. And I just love that opening letter there because it just captures how rare a game like this truly is. You'll see all of the characters in their classic concept here with little character bios, which I really appreciate here because naturally I'm a sucker for this type of stuff. You have Mighty the Armadillo here. I didn't mention this earlier, but this was the original concept for Sonic. They had Mighty lined up and they had Sonic lined up. They obviously went with the blue blur. Imagine that. Imagine Mighty. Would things be still as popular as they are today if it was him? Who knows? But still a little good food for thought there. You can see all the little artwork here, all the animations he had. I think this is his main menu one when he pops up. So just a lot of cutesy art here. Concepts for all of the main characters. There's Eggman. Oh man, this is what we love in physical copies. Just little art books here, not additional charge for it either. Just beautiful stuff here. I mean, look at that. I love how you can just see him kind of living in the stages. It makes you wonder what if. This one's my favorite personal shot in the art book. So yeah, just a really cool celebration of the game. They talk about the opening animation that you were seeing in the background on the CRT TV when I was talking. And originally that actually was supposed to be a launch trailer for the game and not planned for the game at all, they say here. But they actually adapted the engine to fit that opening movie in, which again, just really cool, passionate stuff here. Very unique project. These character turnarounds are drawn as a reference so animators can understand the character's design from multiple angles, so you can kind of get an understanding of what the characters look like here. And so that helps the animators get a feel for things. More concept work here, and then book credit and thanks, some more concepts, and that's it. So yeah, a really cool complete in-box copy. One of the few modern games I'd say worth actually owning and having on your shelf, just because like that's what we call preservation, baby. So that is a complete in-box copy of Sonic Mania Plus on the Xbox One. I mentioned the Tetris minigame earlier, and there are other mini games you can find, like this 3D Sonic running style game where you pick up these blue bubbles and you gradually gain speed as you level up. But you also have to grab rings because that'll kind of serve as your timer, and you'll gradually go quicker and quicker and quicker until you catch up to this thing that's dropping all of these rings and blue bubbles. I kind of found this oddly addicting, but you'll find that in the middle of a stage and get cool little rewards for it. Then you'll go into something like Encore Mode, which allows you to almost play this two-player Sonic Mania remix, which I thought was really fun. So when you start off the campaign, you can either team up with Mighty or Ray, and so I teamed up with Mighty, and what happens is there are pickups you can get that let you switch out. So at one point I was Knuckles and Mighty, then I was Sonic and Knuckles, hence the hoodie here. We're dressed for the occasion. It just started to switch up the play style. Some of the levels felt remixed, just like, of course, in the base game. And there's also time attack. So there's, for people who are not like me and not having skill issues, there's that there. There's a lot of content here. And it's just like I love in a Sonic game, easy, quick, pick up and play, which makes it more appealing, right? Because I always say, like with Sonic P06, it's always ready to go for me, because anytime I see it and I want to get that quick Sonic fix in and then move on with my day, 5 to 20 minutes, and then I'm out. I mean, that's the beauty of Sonic, is you can hang around as long as you want in something like Frontiers, which is a 20+ hour game. Same with Sonic Adventure 1. You know, these are longer style games. Or you can do the episode select, right, in Sonic Adventure 1 and do just a quick stage or two and move on. And so Sonic Mania provides that gameplay option here. And yeah, overall, I like it a lot, but I can't say I love it. The reason that is what it also taught me is 2D Sonic isn't for me. I was still having issues with things that I had issues with coming through the door, effectively. Like, I was thinking, man, I don't like how when I go really fast, I'm bound to bump into something, whether it be a bounce pad sending me backwards that I just didn't see coming. And I know the idea is memorization and getting better, but I really felt like I was getting better at 3D Sonic because I could see the level coming instead of memorizing the layout and muscle memory. But I get why people love this style of game. It's not something that I'm gonna always go back to and say it's like one of my favorite Sonic games, but it is a celebration of what 2D Sonic was, and for that, it translates to me perfectly as a sort of new-ish fan, why it's special, why people celebrate it so much, and I think, in that sense, mission accomplished. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, those are my thoughts on Sonic Mania. I'm looking forward to seeing yours down below. Be sure to fire away, and other than that, take excellent care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next Retro Rebound. Peace